Vivid Whisper presents Whisperling, Episode 8, Manifestation. Quinn turned the red ball over in her hand. Jen grabbed her hand and pushed it under the table.
Keep it out of sight.
I feel stupid carrying these around. We still don't know our cue to put them in the trash cans.
We'll know. I'm sure we'll know. He'll be acting strange.
He always acts strange.
I don't know, strange. Stranger than usual.
Dominic bit his sandwich quietly.
Look, he hasn't set a fire since the museum. I've been observing him. He's pretty boring. No way he acts that boring when he's planning to set the school on fire.
Maybe he's not going to. Maybe you scared him off.
Flattering, but I doubt it.
Dominic went back to eating his sandwich.
Look, if we can find something more concrete, great, but this is all we have right now.
Fine. You're right. We'll try it.
Good. Thank you, by the way, for helping.
No problem. I finished my essay last night.
Wait, which essay?
You know, the Thomas Nast one.
Wasn't that due,
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Is this like last time?
No, not at all. I just haven't been able to focus lately.
because of the fire thing?
Scarsteel had learned to breathe fire 2 weeks before, and by the time it attacked again last week, the Colonel hadn't managed to fully heal. No one wanted to admit it, but it seemed like the next time Scarsteel attacked, it might be the Colonel's last stand.
Yeah, fire. Not just that. My dad will probably stay out another month or two. And I think it's been stressing my mom out. She's been acting weird.
That sucks, I'm sorry. When did you learn that his date was pushed back?
Just a few days ago. It's okay. He's calling tonight.
Okay, good.
Quinn handed her essay in after class. She found Mike waiting for her at the door.
Was that your essay on what's his name?
Don't want to talk about it.
Okay. I've got some leads.
Some leads?
On the arsonist?
For a moment, Quinn had to keep herself from laughing. She'd totally forgotten that Mike had volunteered to help.
Walk with me.
Okay.
People are starting to have second thoughts, you know? A lot of them don't really think Jen did it. Most of them don't care anymore.
Really? That's great. What changed?
Well, I think that stunt she pulled a couple of weeks ago helped.
Because she almost beat him up?
I mean, you heard the stuff he was saying.
Yeah.
That's how people think around here. But anyway, leads. I heard Jefferson talking about how he would have set the fires, but he wasn't actually at the museum. And Matt actually told me that he knows who did it. But no way he was telling the truth. But then I started thinking, what if there were multiple people?
Mike, we know who it is.
You what?
Can I trust you not to tell anyone I told you?
Yeah, of course you can.
He huddled in closer, excited.
Who?
You know that guy that Jen was confronting 2 weeks ago? Zane?
You're kidding.
Well, she wasn't yelling at him for nothing.
Oh my god, how'd you figure it out?
I saw him near the bathroom at the museum.
She lied.
I asked him about the fire and he ran away. It's definitely him.
All right. Hell yeah.
He offered a hand to high five. The only evidence she had told anybody about was not only made up, but completely circumstantial. But no one had minded yet.
All right, but sounds like you don't have proof. Like, that you can show anyone.
Exactly. We're going to catch him in the act. But we need to figure out something that will give him away when he's about to do it.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Wait, I didn't...
Prepare to be amazed.
Mike bowed slightly, making Quinn laugh, and turned to head to his next class.
I totally forgot he was helping.
He's so eager.
Good to have more allies, right?
Definitely. Maybe Jefferson and Matt will be the key to all of this.
Who?
Never mind.
When Quinn got home that afternoon, she was greeted by a loud cry.
Hey, honey.
Hi, Mom.
Andrea came into the hallway, grinning widely. The red balls settled in Quinn's bag as she put it down.
How was school?
Fine. When does Dad call?
He won't. Sorry, he sent an email that he had to do something. He couldn't make the call.
Oh.
I'm sorry, honey. Here's his email. He promised to call soon.
She showed Quinn her phone, and Quinn scanned the email quickly.
It's not his fault.
No. Of course. It's never his fault. I'm sure he'll call back soon. Then he can give you that philosophy lecture he promised. You okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Nothing we're not used to.
Isn't that the truth? God, I had such a shitty day today, too. I'm gonna have to completely redo that design from that bakery website I told you about. They changed their minds on pretty much everything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, why not? This might as well happen too, right? Sorry. It's been a long day. I'm getting dinner ready. I'll call you when it's done.
Andrea swept down the hall back towards the kitchen, and Quinn lugged her backpack upstairs. She didn't even sit on her bed, but tossed the bag down, grabbed the fox plush, and went straight for the window. Bluebulb waved to her as she approached. Taproot stood next to him, once again carrying Patch in their cupped hands as if it were their sacred duty.
Good day, Miss Quinn.
Hi, Mayor. How are things?
Not good, no they are not. Our dear Colonel is still healing slower than we'd hoped. Still quickly, mind you. Far quicker than I've ever seen, but not quick enough.
I can speak for myself, thank you.
The colonel rounded the corner of a nearby house and walked towards them. He had a subtle but undeniable limp, and his skin was covered in bandages. He still wore his patchwork armor. In fact, Quinn wasn't sure he ever took it off, so he still looked like a medieval knight samurai marine. But now he was a medieval knight samurai marine mummy.
I don't suppose you have any new developments.
I'm sorry, no.
Worth a shot. But yes, as for my healing, I'm just as disappointed as Mayor Bluebulb here. I normally can fix myself much faster.
Fix yourself?
My skeleton is made of wood, or at least mostly. That way I can fix it, same as I fixed the toy soldiers or my weapon.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Only problem is, burnt wood is harder to fix. I've been replacing the burnt pieces with wood from nearby trees, but it's slow. Speaking of heroic feats, I just remembered I haven't yet commended you on protecting your friend from Scarsteel.
What, Jen? I just let her in the window.
And kept her there. You may have saved her life.
You saved her life. I just made up reasons to talk to her until you drove Scarsteel away, while being set on fire.
Quinn, I am 8 feet tall and holding a weapon that's as big as I am. I can fight monsters. You are a 13-year-old Whisperling, and even by that standard you are, as I understand it, rather small. You want to trade places? I am, not to brag, very strong. Not to mention well-trained. And I use those advantages to be a hero. You find your own way. You heroically got someone to stay in a room for 5 minutes by making up things to talk about without letting them think that you're insane for seeing a dragon outside your room.
That seems a bit extreme.
You just haven't realized it yet. Patch was very impressed.
I was. It's true.
Coy as ever. Although I do have one question.
What?
You're friends with this human, yes? Why haven't you told her?
Oh,
She had only just been able to put that question out of her mind from the last time Avarish had brought it up.
Now, Colonel, we don't like to ask such pointed questions.
Fair enough. I thought if you were asking about my healing, it might be fair game.
I'm curious too.
Patch!
We just went over this. I'm allowed to be nosy. It's my job. I don't get mad at you for bossing people around.
Is that what you think my job is?
Still figuring that one out. We're getting sidetracked. Quinn?
we haven't talked about it in a long time.
Years, I think.
It's, like you said, she'd think I was insane.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know how long that's going to be sustainable. Eventually, everyone needs to admit they're crazy in their own way. And it's not my place to make the call for you. You'll know it when it comes.
Quinn, dinner!
And on that strange note, Quinn headed back in to find Andrea pouring herself a glass of wine, salmon and potatoes already plated, the table already set. They ate quietly for a moment.
How are you feeling?
About what?
I don't know. Your dad being redeployed? I know you were hoping he'd be home by now.
Yeah, but he does what he has to do.
Of course. He's so dutiful, that one. You must be so proud of him.
Of course.
Of course. Of course. He's a hero. He's so brave. So fucking brave.
Mom?
Sorry, honey. He is really brave.
I just wish the army would give him a break. He's done so much for them already. He deserves better than this, don't you think?
I guess.
And, you know, you're allowed to be upset about it. You know that, right? You don't have to pretend you're okay with it if you're not.
I know. But we're supposed to support him. Complaining doesn't really do any good, does it?
I don't know. Probably not, but you never know. And that's not really the point.
It's not like it's his fault.
No, of course not. Oh God, of course not. Sorry, honey. It's been a hard day.
Why are you two fighting?
What?
I heard you the last few times he called.
Oh, that? That was nothing. I was just upset.
Why?
Because... Never mind, honey. It's really no big deal.
Quinn narrowed her eyes slightly.
Okay.
Back in her room, Quinn started pacing.
So?
She wouldn't tell me. That means it's important.
Avarish?
Mom.
I missed something.
She wouldn't tell me why she and Dad were fighting.
Ah.
I got Avarish to talk. I can get her to talk too.
You're going to interrogate her?
No, I just need to do what I did with Avarish. Find her weakness. Get her to say what she really wants to say. She's just scared to. I just have to do that with... my mom.
Would you say it went well with Avarish?
Gah!
Quinn flopped onto the bed.
Never mind. I can't do this. I can't do any of this. All we have is info we can't tell anyone and a bad plan to stop an arsonist. And no, the Avarish got us. She totally beat us. I've lost every battle I've tried to fight.
You escaped the troll.
By luck! I shouldn't even have gone into the forest.
You know, I've been thinking, maybe we should tell someone.
What?
I've been thinking about it since the Avarish. Maybe we should tell someone about the Fae, like she and the Colonel were saying. I just think it might help. You could prove that it's real, and it would confuse whoever you tell it first, but then at least you'd be able to talk with someone about Scarsteel.
I can talk to you about it.
I know, but maybe if Andrea knew, or Sam, or Dominic.
Spark, I really can't deal with this right now. There's too much going on. Can we please talk about this later?
Okay.
Thank you.
You're right. We should deal with the problems that we have already. So let's pick one.
How? They're all urgent. I didn't deal with the Zane issue, and then Jen showed up while we were hiding from an attack. But if I focus on Zane, what's going to happen here when I'm not paying attention? What's going to happen with Mom? How am I supposed to pick?
I don't know. But you didn't get your essay done by thinking about the Colonel. Let's pick one issue and deal with it first.
Okay. You're right. One problem at a time. Zane. How do we catch him?
You have the grenades.
We need something to tell us when he's planning on setting the next fire.
It's not like he's going to tell us, or even act any differently.
No. All we know is that he'll be bringing a news article and gasoline. And a match or lighter or something.
Maybe we can catch him printing out the article?
Unless he brought it from home.
The lighter.
He could have it in his pocket.
So that leaves the gas.
Where does he get the gas? You've checked his bag 50 times. It's not like he's holding it in his mouth.
Then we'd have two enemies that breathe fire. So...
Wait a minute. Spark, you're sure you didn't see anything that could hold gas in his bag?
Nothing.
Quinn rocketed off her bed and started digging through her bag.
What are you doing?
Where's Pumpkin's drawing?
Why? We already know what the bag looks like.
Quinn found the slip of paper, unfolded it, and grinned. A drawing of a busted old backpack with a skull patch and a black water bottle.
We've got him.
What?
Pumpkin saw a water bottle in his bag. He had a water bottle at the museum, but he hasn't brought it in since. Why would he? It's not like he can drink from it. It still smells of gasoline.
Yes! Text the others. We found it.
Spark stood on the bed, hopping excitedly. Quinn took out her phone and texted Jen and Dominic. Zane had a water bottle at the museum, but not since. He must use it to smuggle the gas. She put her phone down, shivering with excitement.
That's it! That's the last piece. We just need to wait for him to bring a water bottle to school, and then we have him.
A minute later, her phone vibrated. One text from Jen, all in caps. Holy shit! She and Jen started discussing the plan. She was so excited she didn't notice the gnomes collecting by her window until Patch knocked politely.
Sorry, come on in.
You seem chipper.
Oh, sorry.
Don't apologize. What's the good news?
I think we just solved a problem. Not this problem, a different problem.
Wonderful. What happened?
Well, there's this guy at school who's been setting fires.
Oh, yes. The arsonist.
You've heard about him?
Just that he exists. I have some spies living in the school. The fires scared them.
Why do you have spies in the school?
We're rats. We'll settle pretty much anywhere security isn't super tight.
Well, we think we just figured out how to catch him.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thanks. Sorry, I know it's not relevant. I should be thinking about how to help.
Stop apologizing. It's okay. And if you're smart enough to figure out how to beat an arsonist, I bet you can figure out how to hunt down Scarsteel.
Miss Quinn figured out how to hunt down Scarsteel?
Not yet.
Patch?
How was she supposed to? She's compromised, remember? No offense, Miss Quinn.
She'll do it. You'll see.
Please stop.
Well, I hope so.
Scarsteel didn't attack that night. The Colonel spent the time trying to repair his damaged bones. He looked so small, Quinn thought, even as his head came up well over the garden fence while he sat, slowly grafting himself with a tree branch. It was hard to watch. But when the room breathed a sigh of relief and the people of Ardor went back to their homes, Quinn felt strangely at ease. The fear still twisted in the pit of her stomach, but this time she had hope. The next morning she woke up with a greater sense of purpose than she had felt in a long time. She felt the strange, familiar surge of energy and confidence as she had the day she ventured into the woods. They had a plan. All she needed now was another one. She picked an outfit she didn't normally. A jacket Sam had given her that looked exactly like an army service uniform. It wasn't actually a uniform. Apparently that would be illegal, and anyone in this town would know the difference immediately, but it was a clear illusion. The coat always reminded her of Sam, and today it reminded her that, even as she dealt with so many crises, at least she wasn't alone in doing so. It was a bit heavy for the season, but she never let that stop her.
Do you worry about carrying those fire grenade things just in your backpack like that? What if one of them goes off?
They're in a plastic bag.
Oh, I'm sure that would contain it.
They're heat activated. As long as my bag doesn't catch on fire, we'll be fine.
It's just, you're carrying them right next to my doll, and I'd rather not have anything happen.
I'm sure they won't explode.
It's just, if I get hurt, I go back to the doll. But I don't know what happens if it gets covered in foam.
Okay, fine.
Quinn took the plush out of her bag and placed it in the water bottle holder on the side.
Let's go. We have an arsonist to catch and a dragon to slay. Bye, Mom.
Have a good day.
Something inside Quinn tightened. She adjusted her uniform coat and opened the door to find two men standing outside. They were dressed almost exactly like she was. Quinn stood perfectly still.
Quinn, who's...
Ms. Andrea Green, Miss Quinn Bell.
No.
My name is Captain Gregory Thomas from Company C, 1st Battalion.
The man who spoke looked from Andrea to Quinn. He knelt down to her, respectfully. It reminded her of the Colonel.
I have important news from the Secretary of the Army. May I come in?
Andrea, as if in a trance, gestured them toward the kitchen. The men followed her, and Quinn followed behind them.
Ms. Green, it is with great regret that I must inform you that your husband, Sam Bell, was killed in action yesterday evening. He was killed while attempting to protect civilians from a fire pit. The Secretary extends his deepest sympathy to you and your family.
Andrea slumped. Quinn ran upstairs and slammed the door. She threw her backpack with force and flung herself onto the bed. The feeling of falling returned. She was lying face up, but she felt she was being smothered. She grabbed a pillow and screamed into it. Time passed. She wasn't sure how much. She sat up, groggy and hollow.
Hey.
Spark was sitting at the foot of the bed. Quinn realized she was still wearing the army coat. It was too hot and had been pressed against her skin uncomfortably, so she pulled it off. She held it up and folded it as well as she could, but that wasn't good enough. so she unfolded it and tried again.
Was I asleep?
Yeah. Like an hour. Your mom came in to check on you.
I don't want to see anyone.
I told him and he wouldn't listen to me, the idiot!
You should talk to her.
Later.
Of course.
Quinn took the coat and squeezed as hard as she could.
He said he wasn't anywhere dangerous. He said he was going to be fine. He lied. We promised not to lie to each other.
Maybe he didn't know.
He knew. He must have. That's why he and Mom had been arguing. That's why he had to reschedule the call. It's why he wouldn't talk to me. I should have figured it out. I should have told him to leave.
That wouldn't have helped.
How do you know? You didn't catch it either. How do you know what he would have done?
Quinn!
What?
This isn't easy for me either.
Quinn looked over at Spark. He sat facing the window, his head hanging. His eyes were wet. Quinn didn't even know he could cry. Hesitantly, he turned to meet her gaze. She slid across the bed and hugged him. He pressed against her neck.
I'm sorry.
I know he's your dad, not mine. But
I get it. You're like my brother.
yeah.
A smile flickered on Quinn's lips, then faded. They sat like that until Spark's weight became uncomfortable, and she nudged away, petting him instead.
So this is how Dominic felt.
I guess so.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I never want to feel this way again.
She clutched the coat again.
I never want to lose anyone or anything like this again. I'll take everyone and everything in my life and hold on and never let go. I'll hold so tight that they become part of me and never fall away. I wish I could never lose anything ever again.
Something released inside of her. The coat felt hot in her hands, and she was flooded with a gentle warmth. Spark rubbed up against her, and she threw the coat into the corner.
Quinn, are you up?
Yes?
Hey.
Andrea closed the door and gently sat on the bed next to Quinn.
I'm not going to school.
I already called in.
What'd you tell them?
I said you had an emergency. They said they understood. Your teachers will just say you're sick.
Quinn nodded. She was far from the first kid to miss school for this reason, but that didn't make it any less painful.
My friend Joan is downstairs. You remember her?
Kinda.
And I called Uncle Leon. He's stuck in the city, but he'll come out as soon as he can.
Quinn perked up ever so slightly at hearing this. Andrea's brother, Leon, was always too busy to visit. But, of course, this was inconsequential to her darker mood.
The chaplain was really nice. He asked after you, but I said it would be better to leave you alone.
Quinn nodded again. Andrea put an arm around her, and Quinn leaned against her.
He really was a hero, by the way. He was protecting a...
I don't want to know. Not right now.
Okay. Just... You should be proud. But you already knew that. And I hope you know how proud he was of you.
Quinn nodded again. Andrea's arms were warm. She felt like she should be crying, but the tears didn't come. She felt Spark against her ankle. She was still wearing her shoes. More time passed. After a while, Andrea released her and left her alone. Quinn sat in her room, stared out the window, and petted Spark. Quinn saw the Colonel and the people of Ardor, not to mention the occasional human, going about their business. Some of the humans were in uniform. The Colonel waved at her. She waved back but looked away. A couple hours in, she picked the coat up and hung it back in her closet. Every once in a while, Quinn would get a text message from Jen. "Where are you? Come to the cafeteria. Meet me by your locker. Are you okay? Hello?" She didn't respond. She didn't know what to say. Joan stayed for dinner. Despite Andrea's insistence, she returned to her own family. It was a cliché, but this is how it was done. Quinn felt she was playing a part, reading from the script everyone in the town had memorized. She didn't care. When she got back to her room, she found a small carton of milk on the outside windowsill. She smiled at this, opened the window, and took it. She couldn't bring herself to drink it, though.
Are you gonna tell Dominic and Jen?
Yeah, just not right now.
It might help.
I don't care. Not right now. I don't know how to tell them.
The day passed, even though it felt like it never would. Andrea left Quinn alone by her request, but after dinner convinced her to play a game of Crazy Eights on her bedroom floor. Eventually, the sun went down, and it was time to get ready for bed. Quinn had been dreading this, but dutifully, she changed into her pajamas and opened the window to let in the people of Ardor. Patch and Bluebulb were first of the crowd.
Hello.
Evening, Miss Quinn.
Hi.
My deepest condolences for your loss. I see you got my gift.
Yes, thank you.
Indeed. I'm very sorry I am.
Thanks. Could we drop it, please?
Yes. Yes, of course.
How did you even know?
They must have seen the two men.
Them and the whole town.
Indeed. Just one last thing. The Colonel wishes to express his condolences as well. If you need or wish anything from any of us, I hope you know all you need do is ask.
Yes, thanks.
Quinn shut the window behind the last family of dryads. The Colonel was pacing around, eyeing the horizon with the scope of his weapon. The toy soldiers and the gnomes took their places, although there weren't many gnomes left without some sort of injury.
God damn it.
It had to be tonight, didn't it?
Quinn slumped by the windowsill and covered her ears. She didn't want to think about fighting. Quinn opened her eyes at the thud and looked out the window, trying her best to avert her gaze from the battle going on in the street. Off to the side of her window was a gnome clutching a drain pipe, terrified. His legs were twisted wrong. He pressed himself against the edge of the roof, shaking in fear. In his right hand, he held his slingshot so tightly his knuckles were white. Déjà vu struck Quinn, but so did the image of her father. She knelt on the windowsill and opened the window just high enough for her to reach towards the drain pipe.
Quinn, what are you doing?
She glanced at Scarsteel, who was distracted by the Colonel's attacks. She reached out the open window.
Quinn, I don't know if that's such a good idea. Hey!
Wait! We need to stay hidden. Scarsteel getting over here!
Hey, over here!
The gnome looked at her, then back at the ground.
Grab my hand!
Quinn, I don't think...
Come on!
The gnome, just out of reach, was shaking violently. Could he even hear her? She glanced at Scarsteel again. It was still distracted.
Come on, you can do it!
Wait, stop!
Grab my hand!
Wait, please!
Still, the gnome didn't move. Scarsteel was breaking away from the Colonel. It only had to look toward them.
Please! Grab my hand!
Wait, I know what you're trying to do.
Pull her back.
Get off me! Grab my hand!
The gnome began sidling toward her, but stopped when he almost lost his grip. Small hands grabbed Quinn's legs, pulling her inside. She felt Spark clamp his teeth around her ankle.
Come on, please! Please!
Quinn, look out!
The gnome panicked and leapt down 2 stories into the bushes as Scarsteel plunged down onto the window.
No!
Quinn barely slipped back inside as its tendrils slashed down on where she had been reaching. The dragon engulfed the roof of her house, and she saw its huge porthole eye shaft leveled on the window. Everyone in the room ran to the walls and under the bed to hide. Quinn got a good look at the eye shaft as it scanned the room, glowing as if lit from a fire somewhere inside the body.
Hey! Over here!
The eye pulled away from the window.
Is it going?
A torrent of steel cables plunged through the window. Quinn barely dove away from the windowsill as they lashed and twisted like a bladed anemone. The crowd in the room panicked, running and screaming to get as far away from the tentacles as they could. Some even tried to open the door to the hallway, but they couldn't reach the knob. The cables grabbed a gnome and engulfed them, yanking them into the tentacled maw the window had become.
Over here! Get away from there!
The cables retracted, and Quinn breathed a sigh of relief. The eye shaft reappeared at the window, then was replaced by the dragon's massive beak, open, glowing with the same light. a light from a fire.
Get down!
A wave of flame crashed through the window. Quinn ducked out of the way, but even so, she felt like she was melting. The blast ended, and the dragon pulled its head away, but fire blazed in every corner of the room. Quinn could hardly breathe.
Quinn! Oh my god. Oh my god. Quinn, the grenades!
She dashed across the room to grab her backpack, sitting in one of the few places in the room not set on fire. In one yank, she tugged it open and pulled out 2 extinguisher balls. She tossed them, the first onto the bed, the second in the opposite corner. Unsure what to expect, she put her hands over her eyes. She looked again and was genuinely surprised to find the fire had gone out. The silly-looking red balls actually worked. There was still some smoldering at the edges of the room, but the gnomes quickly set to work stamping it out. She would think later about the broken window and the room covered in scorch marks. Scarsteel raised its mouth to the window again.
Quinn!
Spark didn't need to say anything, she had already had the same idea. She grabbed another ball and threw it directly through the window into the dragon's maw. The beast reared up in shock and started... Was that coughing? Were its eyes dimmer than before? Quinn felt a momentary victory until the cables reappeared. She dove onto the bed as the tendrils lanced towards where she stood, skewered her backpack, and struck clear through the wall behind it before retracting out the window, taking the bag with them. Still hacking, the dragon lifted into the air and flew away. The crowd breathed a sigh of relief.
Quinn? Quinn?
Yeah?
I feel funny.
What do you mean?
Where's the doll?
Quinn's eyes shot open. The fox doll. She hadn't taken it out of her backpack.
Quinn, I feel... It's getting far away.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Patch ran over, their face covered in milk.
What's the matter?
Scarsteel took Spark.
No, it didn't. He's right.
No, the doll. He can't be far away from the doll. He'll just reappear at it. If anything happens to the doll...
She trailed off because they didn't know. They didn't want to find out.
I'm scared.
It'll be okay.
She hugged Spark tightly as he grew more and more translucent.
I'm so dizzy.
What can we do?
We need to get the bag back.
How?
I don't know.
Wait, I can't.
The resistance between Quinn's arms disappeared, and Spark was gone.